Oh my goodness me, we've had a close game, my nerves are shot, England have won. It's the Final Word Daily, it's brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line, and to sum up why we're feeling so fraught, so anxious, so tense, is Daniel Norcross.
England won a match by 7 wickets and with a few balls to spare, and we haven't had anything quite as close as that the entire tournament. Firstly, South Africa broke the tournament record for highest number of runs scored in Sharjah, and then, do you know what? England then went to beat it. The first 50-plus partnership scored here in Sharjah by Danny Wyatt-Hodge and Nat Sciver-Brunt. It was also the most double-barrelled 50-plus partnership scored in Sharjah, and it might well remain the most double-barrelled 50-plus partnership in Sharjah. It means that England now have 1.5 feet in the semi-finals, but they've still got the potential banana skin of Scotland and the West Indies to come. For South Africa, this may be just a blip on their road to the semi-finals. They have, in theory, the two weaker teams left in the group. But either way, we got a great game of cricket at last, and what joy, what rapture.
I think that's a very important point about who South Africa still have to play, because this match, although whoever lost it would have left it with 1 win, 1 loss, there was a much more riding on it for England than there was for South Africa, because England still have to play the time bomb, as we've now named them, of West Indies, where you're just like, well, you don't know what's going to happen, whereas South Africa had already knocked them off. I think we need to start with Nat Sciver-Brunt's innings. I was bemused, angry and frustrated that Sophie Ecclestone has just picked up the player of the match.
Oh, did she?
She did, according to the old television. She got 2 for 15 off her 4 overs. Hey, Sophie, really well done. I just don't think you deserve it. She didn't go for a boundary. She bowled really well.
Well, do you know, the reason why you're right to think that is because
no one scored a run.
Normally people say, oh, it's a batter's game. Player of the match is always a batter. But actually, here in Sharjah, where it is so difficult to score runs, and a really good spinner like Sophie Ecclestone taking 2 for 15 in 4 overs is not remarkable. She's a very good bowler. But scoring, what did Nat get in the end?
48 off 36 is remarkable.
It's ridiculous.
And I think it was a wonderful moment. We basically got the showdown of 2 of the great all-rounders in the game. Yep. And the match came down to Cap versus Sciver-Brunt, the 14th over. It was, I think England needed 43 off 36. It was above 7 and over. Yes, they're only 2 down, so South Africa go, if we get a wicket now, we get a new batter in at the crease, 7 and over, that's been very, very difficult here. Cap comes back on after kind of warming up ominously.
Oh, didn't she? Yeah, it's
we were like, here we go. This is the showdown. This is the moment. South Africa have decided these are the 6 balls. On commentary, on TMS, just across the ground, you're thinking, right, England, block the shit out of it. Don't take a risk. Just don't get out, and we'll deal with whoever's going to bowl from now on. Nat Sciver-Brunt, rather than listening to us morons, when Cap misses her length twice, she pummels her over to the square leg boundary. 11 runs come off the over. The run chase has its back broken. England have one's foot kind of home, and it was just a great moment of 2 great players going toe-to-toe. After, Marizanne Kapp started very, very, very well.
Well, the first 3 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 5. She'd put South Africa in a... I know, that's the right noise.
It was louder than I intended.
Yes, it was very loud, wasn't it? 3 overs, 2 maidens, you can do it again, 1 for 5.
I'll never be able to make that noise again. I didn't mean to. It was an accident.
Well, it was a noise that befitted what was 3 actually magnificent overs, because I think the 5 was a 4 and a 1, so she'd effectively bowled 16 dot balls, including a wicket, out of 18 in the power play, and Bouchier could not get her away. Danny Wyatt-Hodge actually played it quite smartly, just drop it and run. That's the idea for Danny Wyatt-Hodge. But she was just magnificent, Cap, and I suppose you're right, it was going to take arguably the best player in the world. It's hard to say, is that Nat Sciver-Brunt? She's just up there. She's in the conversation, and you could see why, because the power of her shots. We saw it a little bit earlier, actually, with Anna-Marie Dirksen, who struck the ball with such menace, and Marizanne Kapp in her own innings. But Nat Sciver-Brunt was just different gravy, finding those gaps, and crucially, what it was doing was forcing Marizanne Kapp, who hadn't had really to think when she was bowling, where to put her field. She kept having to move the field every other ball, and that was the power of Nat Sciver-Brunt. And you're dead right, Cam, because if that over, actually, even if that over goes for like 3 runs and doesn't take a wicket, the rate's up to 8 and over. It's really hard. We saw Nadine de Klerk came on basically as an auxiliary spinner, even though the keeper was standing back, bowling at 48 miles an hour, back of the hand, slower balls, because it's so hard. I spoke to Danny Wyatt, after the end of the game, and I made a beeline for her because she looked completely knackered, and she said that is the hardest innings she's ever played for England.
Really?
The running that she had to do, and she's a woman who's got great power and superb timing in her shots. She was going at a run a ball, and yet it felt like she was batting really, really well. The difference between a run a ball and what Nat Sciver-Brunt did today, do you want to know what that difference is?
Winning.
Genius.
That's
the
for Danny
difference.
Whitehodge not being genius there.
No, she's just brilliant. Danny Whitehodge is brilliant, but Nat Sciver-Brunt
is a genius.
Genius.
And it was I feel like we're labouring this point because we are labouring it because it's important. The outfield is so slow.
Bouncy.
Nat Sciver-Brunt bowled the first ball of the match today, and he got cut away behind point, and you go,
that's
four runs, and you're like, it's not gone, it's stopped. And so then for Danny Whitehodge, in the context of, and you can see how the two, I was about to say something potentially mean, the difference in quality now between Whitehodge and Bouchier, not necessarily speaking of the future, but Whitehodge was able to kind of smother any movement and bounce and kind of the slowness of the wicket and drop and run, whereas Bouchier had a really tough time against Cap, which I think a lot of players would do, but it was getting like, she got 8 off 20, she was on 2 off about 13, and Cap was running riot.
Well, she played the two maidens out, didn't she, basically?
Yeah.
That's how the two maidens panned out. And actually, when she gave it a go, used her feet and came down a wicket, she struck one beautiful shot over long on, which was a great shot, but she looked so hesitant. Catherine Sciver-Brunt was on commentary watching it.
It was
like,
weird.
Getting really kind of like, come on, you've got to go harder at the ball. But I think part of it is because Marizanne Kapp is such an iconic player, such a brilliant player as well, that part of them are looking at the target of 125 and thinking, if Marizanne Kapp doesn't blow away 2 or 3 wickets at the top of the order, we can always make it up. Now, I'm not sure that you can without a performance like Nat Sciver-Brunt's, actually, because South Africa have got Mlaba, they've got Ayamonga Kaka, they've got 3 really gun bowlers there, and they had very clever bowling from Nadine de Klerk. It was actually their 4th bowler that they were really struggling with, which is a sort of combination of Chloe Tryon and Suni Lees, for whom, for some reason, this wasn't really their pitch. It didn't really turn. They also dropped their lengths a little too short, and there were 2 England batters who were in terrific nick. But I think Bush needed to be a little bit more proactive today. She'll probably acknowledge that when she looks back at it and think, ooh, I bit hesitant.
It was out of keeping as well from like the player we've seen play and who's forced her way into this team, which had been so settled for so long. Like you're not opening in the World Cup if you hadn't taken your opportunity to be here and played in a manner that wasn't the correlation today. That's not the story of today.
No.
I'm trying to. Who should we focus on next? I think England's spinners, they've showed the other side of why they're so kind of feared and respected, and they are their kind of super strength, apart from that Sciver-Brunt, in this competition. We stood here 2 days ago, and Lindsay Smith was the star of the show.
That's right.
And she bowled fine. I was trying to work out why she was kind of going for a run a ball, but going for a run every ball. And I was trying to work out if
she also bowled a couple of poor balls which she didn't bowl the other day, or maybe the Bangladesh openers didn't quite have the power, because she was bowling against Wolfhart and Tasmin Brits, who are in terrific
so
nick.
Good, man.
Oh, and she great. Yeah.
But then at the end, her last ball of her spell got like hit for 6, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, like this isn't necessarily the cheat code we've kind of expected it, or it looked like it was going to be. But when John Lewis closes a door, Heather Knight opens a window. I don't think that makes sense at all.
Well, I mean, it can do. He can close the door, and Heather Knight can go and open a window above and go, John, mate,
basically,
why'd you close the door?
Basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you have 4 spinners and one of them doesn't have their great day, other people can. Charlie Dean bowled well, but today it was a case of Sophie Eccleston and Sarah Glenn. Sarah Glenn, having been off form a couple of days ago, right back on the money, a superb display.
She was brilliant today. What she did was bowl straighter, basically, and she hit a length. So the thing about these players is they're not computer game characters, are they? And she just didn't bowl very well against Bangladesh. I don't know how much acknowledgement there was of that, really, because people don't like to acknowledge these things. She just bowled 4 rather mediocre overs 2 days ago, and she bowled 4 really good overs today. And that sort of thing happens. And we know she can, because she's in the top 5 bowlers in the world in T20, and it made it, what England were able to do as a result of that was Outside the power play, South Africa got off to a really good start. 28 off the first 4 overs. Total contrast to England in their power play.
Yeah.
They got off to such a good start. You sort of thought, hang on, 140's on here. No one's going to get 140 in Sharjah.
Yeah.
It just can't be done, right? But then, out of the power play, and even at the very back end of the power play, on came Ecclestone, on came Glenn, and to a degree Dean. And suddenly, they were strangled. They were going nowhere. And what was so clever was the speed at which they were getting through their overs. The first drinks break, which comes after 10 overs, that happened 33 minutes into the game.
What?
Yeah. Yes.
10 overs?
10 overs, 33 minutes. It was at 6:33 our time here. I know this because I was having to do an update at the bottom of the hour, and also to get back on air. So I mean, that just burgled overs quickly. It's a great tactic, and if you've got the spinners that can do that, then you cause a nightmare for a side because they suddenly see over after over just drifting by. Then I think what England might want to have a look at, though, is Nat Sciver-Brunt and how they deploy her here, because as a lone seamer,
Oh my God, that's so funny. I was about
to say that.
I was about to say that.
Go on, you have a go. I've been yattering on.
I was going to pose a question to you. I wonder whether they don't bowl her 4, basically.
I agree.
I think you bowl her, you give her an over or 2 with the new ball if you get any purchase, any seam, swing or seam, whatever, and then screw it. Just chuck the ball to Capsey. Chuck the ball to Have a Night in the middle. Sneak those 2 overs. Sciver-Brunt will bowl 2, and so get 2 from Knight or Capsey at overs like
when you got
9 and 13. And just sneak one through.
And you got a new batter in.
And just get to the end. I genuinely don't. Sciver-Brunt conceded 34 runs today, and it was very much a case of like, when the seamer is bowling, this is when you score runs, unless your name's Marizan Cap. But for every other team that's kind of played here, apart from when Australia were here and they were playing against Sri Lanka, blah blah blah. But I'm glad we agree on that.
Yeah, totally agree with that. That's not to detract from Sciver-Brunt's bowling. It's just these aren't.
You called her a part-timer the other day.
I think I might have done.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. You did do that. I was shocked. I was surprised.
I'm getting a lift in a car with her wife shortly, so please don't say that in her earshot. She'll be coming down shortly.
I want to give you one more hypothetical before we move on to the Hall of Fame.
All right.
South Africa kind of dropped the game today. They put down White Hodge at mid-off.
Yeah.
They had also, White Hodge was also dropped at cover. Wolvart put down 2 catches, and I just felt like at both times when those catches went down. Sorry, I'm missing Alice Capsey at points when she was on 0. I just felt like England.
She made it well, Capsey. Actually, when she got that after that reprieve, she put a bit of an injection of life in, didn't she?
Exactly, quite. So so to give the context of the first drop, which was Annika Bosch at point, it was Capsey's 3rd ball. It was the 2nd of Cap's 2 overs. Had that catch been taken, the score would have been 16 for 2 after 5 overs.
And it wasn't the toughest catch.
It wasn't a tough catch at all. And the following over goes for 12. So Chloe Tryon's over goes for 12, and England kind of get a foothold in the game there. All of a sudden, they're not so far behind. And we're kind of here extolling how fantastic Sciver-Brunt has been, and that in isolation and as an individual player in this match is true. But I did also leave it going like, I think South Africa might have mucked that up.
I think you're right. I mean, the thing is, across a game, you can look at the ones that were mucked up by England as well.
I don't think
Alice Capsey dropped one short fine leg. They missed a terrific opportunity to run out Laura Wolfart when Marizan Cap came in, hit her first ball for 2, but it should never have been 2. It should have been 1. The throw, A, should have gone to the bowler's end to start with. B, when it went to Amy Jones's end, Amy Jones should not have taken the bails off and should simply have been told to throw it at the non-striker's end. So look, there were quite a lot of fielding mistakes made today, and I think what part of that was because this game was so important, and these two sides know they're pretty closely matched. England, don't forget, lost to South Africa in the semi-finals of the last World Cup.
Context, history.
It's all that, and isn't it brilliant? Isn't that what makes it so marvellous? And it's what made today's clash so energising. It's why we've had so much fun, because we've got a close game between 2 behemoths. I still think, even though West Indies are the time bomb, I think South Africa are probably just favourites to go through because of the fact they've got those 2 weaker sides.
Yeah, exactly.
And I expect them to improve their net run rate. But if they do go through and England go through top, I think South Africa would have a chance against Australia. Looking at the weapons that they've got, and we haven't really talked about Anne-Marie Dirksen. Good grief, She's 6'2" and hits it a mile. Marizanne Kapp today batted superbly. Wolfart and Brits, they have come on so far. Like in the last World Cup, I thought they flattered to deceive a little bit. I actually kind of got going more towards the back end of the tournament. But I tell you now, Brits looks the real deal. She's not getting stuck. There's no dotting up. Wolfart is Wolfart. She's in great touch. I think they've got a really dangerous batting lineup. So, yeah, great game.
Two bits I wanted to pick up on there. One, there's been a lot about drop catch this tournament. I actually didn't have much of a problem with England's today because there were two, Heather Knights at slip and Amy Jones behind the stumps were just like they weren't chances. Like the ball got edged into Jones's thumb, and then I think it was Sarah Glenn at short final leg and Sophie Eccleston at mid off were both like.
Eccleston should have taken that.
No, but this is the thing. You go like, oh, if she takes it, you go great catch, really good catch at mid off. And there were catches that they kind of go down, and you want at least one of them to be taken. But I wasn't seething. I wasn't enacting my my policy of death penalty for simple dropped catches.
Okay, all right.
Which is granted, we'd all be dead.
That's very, very noble of you.
Yeah, I'd have been dead in 2013. That's the catch that would have killed me.
Okay.
And the second thing, can't remember it anymore. So we're going to go to a break. Hey, that's been the first part of the final word. We're going to throw to a quick break, and on the other side, we'll have a beautiful ad read from Dan Norcross, and we'll have the Hall of Fame. Hey, back in the game. It's the final word, brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line. I'm trying to give Daniel his ad read. He was so excited, and here it is. I've even cut off the top for you because it was that you were reading the intro to the show, but it was fine.
Don't you hate this time of year in England? Sure, some people love their autumnal walks and Sunday roast. Well, fair enough. But people like us, proper cricket people, crave their long summer nights. Well, we have for you the very best way to take winter by the scruff of the neck. It's with Ambassador Cruise Line and their Cricket Legends cruise from the 12th to the 19th of December. Firstly, there's your shipmates who will transport the sounds of summer to you. Aggers, Blowers, Gucci and Judes.
Oh my God.
That marvellous quartet will regale you with tales of those warm summer days in faraway lands. And they'll do so while you will sail between the best of Europe's port towns. It's here, where you can sample the best of Europe's charming winter markets, cobbled streets and festive cheer this December in Holland and Belgium. The legends of summer combined with the best of winter. It's the perfect combination. All this at the ridiculously generous starting price of £559 per person, and that's before you get 10% off because you listen to us. To book and get your bumper discount, it's as easy as Gucci made his punch off the back foot. Visit ambassadorcruiseline.com and pop in final word 10 at checkout, and you'll be sailing away, beating the winter blues. Listening to this on the go? That's fine. This info is all in the show notes. Check it out. Go. Tell us all about it. Ambassador Cruise Line, giving you the chance to cruise with cricket legends this December.
It just sounds so romantic.
It does, doesn't it? Especially when I say it.
Exactly. Well, you put in final word 10, it's a promo code, you get 10% off. And then, don't put this in the promo code, put it in the comments underneath it, put the words Daniel Norcross, reference it, and he said he'll give you 20 quid off. That's from his pocket. That is true. I remember he said it yesterday. Time for the final word Hall of Fame. I'm going to start off.
Please do.
Because my one's really tame, because I want to get to the bottom of something.
Oh.
But as, actually, you know what, it's reminded me of a really beautiful 5 minutes to start off play. They give an announcement, there'll be no radio music or kind of music around the stadium, whatever, because there's the call to prayer going out around the local area. And so you're playing in this kind of both, at first, eerie silence. You can't quite work out what's going on, and then all of a sudden, it's kind of beautiful music, kind of just like lulls and pulses across the ground. I've really enjoyed that. But in the silence beforehand, to go from the depth and historical context and texture of religion to Danny White-Hodge at points doing Baby Shark at some point, and I'm trying to work out, that wasn't, for the record, she wasn't doing Baby Shark to the call to prayer. That'll be funny, controversial, whatever. But there's something going on in the England team where they've brought the Baby Shark thing in, and I want to know what it is.
Okay, well, you get to the bottom of that.
Cool. What's your final word Hall of Fame? Brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line.
Weirdly enough, it wasn't a very frivolous game today. I didn't see a lot of frivolity.
It was just cricket.
It was
good old-fashioned cricket.
It was just cricket. I mean, Jackie Williams had to make sure that we did waste some time because the zing bails didn't work, so there was a little bit of time wasted there, which is to be expected. I thought Marizanne Kapp doing what looked like the dance from the Chicken song because she was trying to move fine leg wider, I think, at one point during an over.
That makes sense.
I suppose there was a bit of that, but today wasn't a day for frivolity and laughter, for gadding about. Today
About getting
was a
the job
day.
done.
It was. Do you know what it was?
Yeah.
It's whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Very good,
The slogan.
Daniel Norcross. Very good. For those of you somehow under whatever it takes is the slogan of today. Nat Sither-Brunt is the hero of today. If you are English, if you're South African, she's like the enemy. I don't know.
Unlucky.
Anyway, this has been the final word. Day 5 from Sharjah. That's my attempt at it. We'll be back tomorrow. It's brought to you by Ambassador Cruise Line. We'll see you and speak to you then. Goodbye.
When we're back in Sharjah.